Welcome to Second Take, the Christmas episode. I don't feel like standing for this entire thing, so what we are going to be doing is showing you our favorite guest interviews from throughout the year, keeping you company in case you're spending Christmas alone. And if you're not spending Christmas alone, we hope you have good company. Enjoy the show.
I'm sure you've heard the news, and Namibia is calling. And it's time to answer with a smile. From the rolling sand dunes of Sossusvlei to the wildlife wonders of Etosha National Park, Namibia is a treasure trove of natural beauty and adventure. With Enjoy, booking the most renowned lodges is as easy as a desert breeze. Picture yourself sipping coffee on a deck, watching the sunrise. Paint the sky in hues of gold and orange. Or how about a thrilling safari, capturing memories that'll last a lifetime? Our easy-to-use website hosts the most beautiful lodges Namibia has to offer. Whether you crave luxury or a cozy hideaway, we've got you covered. So pack your bags and let's turn your dream adventure into reality. Namibia awaits, and with Enjoy, your perfect stay is just a click away.
Welcome back to Second Take. I'm with Algeto Greg, who is a journalist for Republican. And Algeto and I had been talking throughout the week, and he recently came back from China, Chongqing.
That's right.
Chongqing. And through our conversations, I realized that there's a lot of insights that I'd like to share with the Second Take audience about China itself and some of the misconceptions that we may have of China with regards to productivity, development in society. So I'll get to, first of all, just general, how was China?
It was incredible. Ashwin. It was mind-blowing. The scale, the scope, but also the general peacefulness and friendliness and organization. It was really mind-blowing.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So let's get into the details. What was your first impression of Chongqing?
It's huge. It's incredibly huge. I mean, there are 32 million permanent residents in that city. It's just one city. Yes.
So that's like at least 30 million, around 30 million more than Namibia as a whole. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And the city is one of the few inland municipalities which is controlled directly from the central government. It includes various provinces and regions. So it's not all urbanized. There are also rural areas, but it's all interconnected. And it's very accessible, even the most mountainous areas. It's known as the city of mountains, as well as the city of rivers, because it's at the place where the mighty Yangtze River meets with the Jiangling River, and there are many rivers in that city, but also many mountains. So even when you're on the highways, you're often driving through tunnels that cut through mountains, or you'd be high up over driving across a bridge over huge gorges and valleys.
Stunning place.
It's a stunning place.
I like talking to people who've just traveled, because then you talk about things like I've been there, right? Went down a river and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that sounds But that's really cool. Okay, so this talk, Belt and Road Initiative, what's been its impact on Chongqing's development?
It's had a huge impact. First of all, let me say that I was there on invitation from the All China Journalist Association to attend the Belt and Road Journalism Forum 2024 in Chongqing. Chongqing has a long history of international trade. The city is over 3,000 years old. It's been the capital of China 3 times. It's not currently the capital.
So it rotates? Well, I mean, obviously not rotates, but I mean, is that changeable?
Well, China's had a huge, long history. So over the years, depending on which dynasty was in power and shifts in political power, but on 3 different occasions over the 3,000 years that the city has been established, it was the capital. And it was the end point of the ancient Silk Road. So the Belt and Road Initiative has kind of revived that ancient tradition, and it connects with the China-Europe Railway, railway line that stretches from Chongqing to Germany.
Wow.
continuously.
Oh.
And then it also gives access via the Yangtze River to the huge port cities of China, on the eastern coast.
All right.
It also gives access to the south, and there's a railway that connects it to Russia in the north. And you can, via air links, that's how I got there. I flew from Windhoek to Addis Ababa, and thanks to Ethiopian Airlines, which connects Africans to anywhere in the world, and I really recommend that airline. They flew me to China, and then in China, I used a local domestic airline to fly to Chongqing.
All right. Yeah. That's very interesting. I mean, when you think about China, especially when it comes to rail, they do incredible things. I remember looking at an article the other time about a train that goes 1,234 kilometers in about 4 hours. And I was like, imagine if I was going to Swakop, you know what I mean? And we had that kind of system over here. It feels so efficient, particularly when it comes to countries trying to constantly grow their economies and interconnectivity.
And even in Chongqing itself, in the city center itself, there's a monorail system which can give you access all over the city. And they also have an underground system. They have buses and they have taxis and cars, lots of highways. So there's a real variety in terms of public transport. It's very efficient, and you can bank on it.
You can bank on it. Speaking of things you can bank on, it seems like Africa in general takes on modernization in sacrifice of traditional methods, which feels like it's the opposite in China. How do you feel Chongqing has built on its history?
That was one of my big insights there, was that ancient China and modern China is the same China. And the reason I came to that conclusion is because they build the modern technology that they adapt or adopt based on the historic and ancient traditions and technologies that have been developed over thousands of years. One case in point was a factory that I visited. It's a highly automated factory. They produce pickled vegetable products. And the vegetable, which is a mustard type plant vegetable, which they base most of their products on, is endemic to Chongqing. And in that area, people have been subsiding off that vegetable for thousands of years.
Wow.
Now, this highly automated plant only has 12 employees. But 12. But the inputs come from over 1 million small-scale farmers in that area, in that region. So they provide income and a living for small-scale farmers who very much do it on the traditional basis, with support from the government and from the company also, because the company is reliant on their inputs. So the company keeps track of them and looks at whatever their current situation is and provides whatever support they need to make sure that that family farm is producing, because the factory at the end of the line requires that family farm to contribute regularly. And that factory produces thousands of products, exports all over the world to more than 50 countries, to foreigners who like the product, but also to Chinese all over the world who like that product. And they've got a much bigger support base, customer base within the country. It's a famous product.
Wow. That's incredible. Just being able to, to help local farmers while still pushing the economy, pushing products out there where they are needed. I mean, needless to say, Africa could benefit greatly with regards to this. And, I was talking to you earlier before we, came on screen, that, it seems like Africa could benefit a lot from mirroring some of its friends as opposed to always just getting quote unquote help. Now, something that I'm really proud of, as a Namibian resident, is the opening of the Maritime Museum in Luderitz. But you visited an underwater museum. Yes,
in Chongqing, under the Yangtze River, there is a very famous rock. It's called the White Crane Ridge. And for 1,200 years, the level of the river has been recorded on that rock in order for them to predict the coming harvest, because it's linked to the weather and the whole system. So after the building of the Three Gorges Dam, the river level rised significantly, but they decided that they wanted to preserve and also to preserve access to this historic site. So they built an underwater museum in which they control the water pressure so that it doesn't cause further erosion. It basically preserves it. You go down an escalator, but it's a long, long escalator that you go down.
Into the water?
You go under the water. The whole thing is underwater. They've got divers who go down regularly to clean the lights and make sure that from inside, when you're looking through the port windows, you can see clearly. But you can see the markings, and there's a lot of information provided by guides and displays all over the museum, which gives you historical context and explains to you what the different symbols mean. Like there's two fish engraved next to each other, and the one fish has a flower in its mouth, and the other fish has a leaf, which droops down. So when the water level reaches the eyes of the one fish, it predicts a certain environmental period for the next season.
Wow.
And when it reaches the level of the other fish, it predicts the better one.
Wow.
You know, so it's really incredible.
And this is where archiving is so important.
Yes.
And of course, Africa does have a disadvantage of having its history interrupted. And part of the way that was done was essentially making such information unavailable.
Yes.
And so I don't know, you know what I mean? Like it's nice to see what it looks like when you've got all your stuff. And of course, you know, we do have access to a lot of ancient African practices. It would be good to see a lot of these practices and a lot of this history just being brought into the modern world, you know.
Yeah.
So the new international land sea trade corridor.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How has it improved China's connection to the world?
Yeah, I think that China is incredibly connected to the world because of the trade corridor, but also because of the synchronization of all of their different trade avenues. And in Chongqing, it really demonstrates how all those things are brought together. You know, I went to a container freight hub terminal. And last year, they handled 702,000 TEUs in that specific thing. Already for the first 6 months, that has increased by 13%. But the terminal is able to handle 850,000. So they are working towards that.
Wow.
And it's so high tech, you know. I went to the control room, and there is a huge display screen which is mirrored via the internet for a link that they supply to all of their business partners. And via that link, you can monitor your specific container as it travels along the route. And it also provides you with everything from currency fluctuation, you know, trade statistics, all sorts of information that you can use on the spot to do whatever is best for your business. But you can even watch your specific container via CCTV directly via that website. So you can see the state of it.
Yes.
And pick different angles, different
that's
cameras.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Everything you're talking about makes me want to go to China. And I believe that's the goal. So, so naturally I have to ask, how has tourism developed? How did you view the tourism scene in China?
They've really developed tourism a lot. Firstly, they focused on their own market. I mean, they've got 1.4 billion people. So it's a huge market that they can exploit. But for instance, in Wulong province, which is a sub-province of Chongqing, there was one place, the Fairy Mountain Resort, which is top of the range. Yeah, really, it's an incredible resort. But that resort was a village of 300 people. And it was a very impoverished village. And from what is it? In 2017, the government announced that that whole province has been lifted out of poverty.
Yikes.
The per capita income of the province when they started specifically there was $200 a year, and it has increased tenfold.
Wow.
And of the 300,000 people employed in that province at the moment, 100,000 of them now work in tourism.
Wow. And this is from 2017.
Well, it's up to 2017.
Up to
It was 10-year period.
Yes,
so,
yes.
so from 2007
yeah.
to 2017.
Incredible.
They really transformed the whole project.
Yeah.
And it was part of a nationwide agenda policy to lift people out of poverty. They assigned more than a million, I think it was 1.3 million officials to tackle this problem. And in the process, 1,800 CPC members, that's the ruling party members, actually lost their lives. And I asked the professor who was informing us, what was the life-threatening circumstance that claimed these lives? And he explained to me that some of these communities were living in very difficult to reach places. So on those roads, there were landslides and rock slides and other kind of natural difficulties, threats.
Hindrances, yes.
Yes, which claimed their lives.
Wow.
But I think it goes to show the commitment to realizing the dream.
Yes.
That these officials actually had to put their lives on the line, and many of them, 1,800, lost their lives in the process. But now China has officially, in 2021, they announced that they've eradicated abject poverty amongst their population.
Wow.
And what's even more impressive is they're not stopping there. They have now announced that the next goal is moderate prosperity for the entire population, which they intend to reach by 2050.
Tell us about moderate prosperity.
Yeah.
To the entrepreneurs out there.
Well, I think there are still levels within the Chinese society. Some people are richer and some people are poorer. But already with the elimination of abject poverty, I mean, when I was there on the streets of Chongqing, I saw nobody with a torn T-shirt or broken shoes. I did see some old people who were collecting plastic bottles for recycling. But the young people tell me it's mostly because those old people have lived through difficult times and they want to keep busy. They want to keep doing things.
Stay active.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not out of necessity. It's not because there's no food at home or there's no place to
call home. It's a sense of
home.
duty.
It's a sense of duty. It's a sense of purpose. It's about keeping active. And obviously it will have an impact on the environment.
Yes.
Recently, since President Xi Jinping made a famous speech in 2005 where he coined the phrase, lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets. The whole Chinese approach to the environment has changed. And they don't talk so much about environmental protection. They talk about ecological protection. I like that because it includes humanity. It includes development.
Yes.
It's not separating the two things. It's looking at ways in which you can still preserve your environment, your animals and your plants, but in harmony with your people. You don't have to exclude the two.
Yes.
And you can develop them both together. In Chongqing, they boast of 67% forest coverage.
Wow.
And when I was there, really, I saw
a lot of forest.
There's a lot of forest.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, look, as we wrap this up, let's say, Namibia, we're going to elections.
Yes.
We're going to be choosing a new president, whether we like to or not, it's going to be a new president.
Yes.
If you were brought onto the consulting table for whoever the president is, what's the one thing you would want them to consider adapting from what you learned in Chongqing?
I think the first thing is that we must acknowledge the incredible progress made by our previous president, Hage Geingob, who was able to get Xi Jinping to agree that we as countries would interact on an equal level, even though they're a huge country and we're a tiny country in comparison. But what that means practically is that the Chinese will come here to do business here on the terms that they find here. If they find that our people are corruptible, that our system allows for
maneuvering loopholes,
yes, then they will do that.
Yes.
But if they find that our people are upright and they demand that you do business based on our laws, then they will do that.
Right.
It's up to us.
It's up to us.
So we need to really be serious about it being up to us. We mustn't allow us to be the reason why we have the short end of the stick.
All right.
If we stand up and live out our constitution, our ideals, if we embody who we want to be, then they will follow suit and they will do business with us on those terms. They're doing business with the world, whether we like it or not.
Or not, yes.
Yeah, and everywhere they go, because they are committed to their goals, and their goals are ambitious.
Yes.
You know, there was a quote that I did mention in my story, which was in Republican on Thursday.
Yes.
From the professor who gave us a lot of insights, and he said that if there are obstacles, we will overcome them. And if there are things that the world demands, we will do our best to learn them from other countries. So it just goes to illustrate their determination to reach their goals regardless. And I think that we can also take a feather from that cap. We can also emulate that. We must be clear about our goals. We must have our priorities, number one, number two, number three, and then commit to those goals regardless. We mustn't sell out along the way. We mustn't put our own ambitions or benefit above the goal.
Yes.
Because when you make the cake bigger, everybody gets a bigger slice. So it's not necessary for anybody to want to take the whole cake. No.
Make the cake bigger.
Make the cake bigger.
So that everybody can eat.
Yes.
And I know Xi Jinping didn't mention it with regards to lucid waters, but you won't find fish rot there. That's been a chat with Algeto. Thank you very much for informing us on Second Take.
Explore the beauty of Namibia with our car rentals. From wide open spaces to the plains of Namibia's national parks. Enjoy the freedom of the open road. Go anywhere you want, whenever you want. We've got you covered, even in the most remote locations. Visit our website and see what we have to offer.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
From me, Ashwin Betty, and the Second Take team, which is Oscar, we wish you a Merry Christmas. And if you're not getting any gifts, we certainly hope that you might get the gift of a democracy, depending on where you live. Cheers.